All right. Today in day 3, I am going to walk you through the 4-phase process of beginning to create that balance in your body so that you literally can create whatever result that you want. And this is the exact framework that I move every single one of my clients through. I'm not holding anything back from you today. I want to share everything with you, but you also need to, again, set realistic expectations that this is a process. This is a 4-phase process. And the reality is, when folks ask me how long this is going to take, the answer is it takes what it takes. But I want to share this with you today to help give you a framework. Again, this is not a diet. This is not a meal plan. This is not even a blueprint. This is a frame where you can start to navigate your own unique journey, roadmap, and path through, and it's going to look like it looks for you. So the 4R process is the restore, which I kind of led into yesterday, the reframe, the rebuild, and resilience. Each and every one of these has a unique purpose in your path to moving forward. Now, this is going to help you get results, whether you're dealing with PCOS, hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, menopause, whether you're struggling with hormonal replacement therapy, all kinds of different things, insulin resistance, metabolic resistance. This is going to help. The interesting thing, I always get asked this question, and I didn't share this in the introduction on day 1 intentionally because I wanted to share it with you here as a way to help you understand what functional nutrition's role is in this process. I tell people all the time, I'm a functional nutritionist. In fact, most of the time I leave the functional out because no one quite understands what that means. So when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to medicine, we have Western medicine, which is what we're most familiar with at hospitals and with our primary care physicians, et cetera. And then we have the more holistic side, which some are more familiar with than others. That looks at doing things as naturally as possible. And then there's the functional perspective, which stands right in the middle. And that's the same for functional nutrition. I'm not here to tell folks to not take your medication. I'm not here to tell folks that hormonal replacement therapy isn't effective and it isn't helpful. I'm here to balance that fine line between understanding that nutrition and fitness are always going to be your first line of defense. They are always going to be your first line of defense when it comes to preventative care, as well as I'm already here. What do I do now? Care. They are here to support whatever we have going on, whether we are taking medication, if you are in a position to try to get off medication, when you're dealing with illnesses, it's here to support and continue to help you get through there, but it's always going to be the first line of defense. Nutrition and lifestyle considerations can get you so far. But again, from a functional nutrition perspective, we teeter on the line of, okay, we want to look at the holistic aspect of, yes, your food, yes, the way you move your body is going to help, but we also want to support the things that you additionally need from the Western medicine, the more traditional medicine side of things as well. So that being said, restore, reframe, rebuild, resilience. We always start with the restore phase. And I've started to speak into that over the past few days, talking about how we actually need to get our metabolism to a place of balance. And that's exactly what restoration looks like. Again, a lot of us don't understand what it feels like to move throughout day-to-day life, feeling balanced, feeling whole, feeling good, feeling like the best version of themselves. Some of you might be listening to this and you're like, I feel great. And I challenge you on that. Because I've been there too. I've been like, oh, I feel so much better. Oh, I feel so much better. And I'm not even sure that I know what it feels like to truly feel just absolutely rock star amazing. Rock star was a term that a client used with me a couple of years ago. And she's like, I feel like a rock star now. And I didn't even know this was possible. And so I hear this from client after client after client, and it's been a part of my own journey as well. So I know this to be true. And so when we find this place of balance, again, looking at our nutrition, this is not one of those conversations where I tell you that you need to eat 1,200 calories. In fact, I will tell you, please definitely do not eat 1,200 calories. But looking at whether or not we're feeding our body appropriately, your metabolism desires to be fed. Your metabolism requires energy, which is measured in calories, which comes from our food, in order to function optimally. By restoring our metabolism in an appropriate way, we can take that negatively adapted metabolism that a lot of us have to no fault of our own, and we can actually start to reverse some of that negative adaptation. A lot of you guys have communicated with me that you have spent years crash dieting, fad dieting, and fighting against this. So when I talk about restoration, I automatically get an, oh my goodness, this is going to take so much time. The incredible part of your metabolism and its desire to adapt and its desire to keep you safe and its desire to work with you is that it doesn't take as long as you think. It takes what it takes, but it's generally not as long as you think. And so a couple of factors that are going to determine how quickly your metabolism can be restored to a place of balance, to where it is going to be more flexible, pliable, and resilient to work with you and for you, depends on your dieting history. Let's be honest. It depends on your current lifestyle, how much stress you can actually manage. Let's also be honest. We're human beings in a human experience. There are circumstances that are always going to be happening beyond our control. It takes into consideration your availability to give time to this, whether or not you can cook 3 meals at home every single day. That's not a realistic expectation of myself. How you're able to move your body, how you're able to exercise, what's going on metabolically beyond just a negatively adapted metabolism. What's going on with your thyroid? What's going on with your sex hormones? But starting to immediately pay attention to the quantity of your food and the quality of your food is going to get you really, really far. Again, I get the question all the time, what should I be eating? The answer is always going to be, it depends. Answer is always going to be, it depends. I will never tell anyone that they cannot have a specific food, a specific group of food, because it depends on your body, your metabolism, your lifestyle, and your personal preferences. The only time that we're going to have a conversation about you shouldn't be eating that is if you're actually allergic. Otherwise, it needs to be something that we explore, which is where the AIM process comes into play. Again, this is something that I coach my clients on, and I would love for you to begin implementing it immediately. It's actually going to be your action step for the day. Taking the data, investigating, and then modifying accordingly. Now, here's the key piece. So many folks will begin to modify way too quickly. It takes time. How many times have I said that today? It takes time. Taking the data, assessing it, investigating it, takes time. 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes maybe 3 weeks for you to start to see incremental changes. Remember, you didn't get here overnight, and you're not going to get to the other side overnight. It's kind of like if you were to go on a hike and you needed to climb Mount Everest and you wanted to get to the other side of Mount Everest. It might be really easy to slide down the mountain, but it's going to be really challenging, step after step, rep after rep, to get up that mountain. It doesn't mean that it's not possible. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be easier on the other side, but it's going to take some practice to get there. In fact, that's why I like to refer to nutrition, lifestyle changes as a practice. It's not something you do right or wrong. It's not something that's good or bad. Dropping those absolutes immediately is going to help you get balanced so much more quickly, because balance doesn't live in absolutes. You can think of a scale teetering back and forth to find that balance, right? We're not going here to this absolute or this into this absolute. We have to balance in the middle. And so thinking of your nutrition like that, thinking of your lifestyle like that, thinking of your exercise like that, your recovery, all the things, that's what is required to restore your metabolism to a way that you can actually work with it. And so the restore phase is just one piece of the puzzle. Oh my goodness. So we're going to restore our metabolism to this place of balance, to where you can feel your hunger. I've had so many clients come to me and literally tell me that they didn't know when they were hungry. And this is, if you're sitting here going, yeah, you're talking about hunger and busy, feeding kids, I'm working, I don't know when I'm hungry. You're not alone. In fact, with a small baby, again, I definitely feel you there. It can be really, really easy to forget basic needs such as eating and drinking water. And so I want to encourage you that if it's helpful, to even set reminders throughout the day to just check in with your physical body. Again, it's a practice. And the more we practice, the more permanent it becomes. Practice makes permanent. And so continuously checking in throughout your body, asking yourself how you're feeling mentally, physically, emotionally. What's your hunger like? What's your energy like? Are you craving anything? What's your mood like? Are you sleepy? What's your stress like? Can be really helpful to continuously check in so that you can catch these communications before it becomes an issue. Kind of like when we get hangry. So the reframe phase, by the way, after we move to from the restore phase into the reframe stage, we can actually work into these two simultaneously. Ooh, got complicated there, but not really, because the reframe is where we start to look at these different mindset traps, these different perceptions. We take a look at emotional eating. That's a piece that we haven't chatted about yet. We know that food, as I've mentioned, is our first line of defense. Food and exercise are your first line of defense. But food is not just fuel. Food is not just going to be the vehicle that's going to help you balance your hormones. It's going to help you feed and fuel this metabolism so that it works for you. Food is emotional. It's celebratory. It's joyful. How many holidays, how many vacations, how many celebrations have you been to that have not involved food? How many times do you catch yourself getting stressed and coming home and just needing some comfort food? It's called comfort food for a reason. That's normal. That's a part of the human experience. So we can look at all the science, we can look at the evidence behind eating in a certain way to support your body and balance your body in a certain way, but we cannot discount the fact that you are a human being in a human experience. So part of this restore into a reframe is taking into consideration what your current lifestyle is, how we can build a lifestyle by design is what I like to call it, that supports the non-negotiables in your life. Like, we can't get rid of your job, we can't get rid of your children, right? And then you have your personal preferences as well. The things that you like to eat, the things that you like to do, how you like to spend your time, it all matters. And so in reframing, we have to take all that into consideration to create this roadmap that works for you. And so, by the way, you can't do the work for someone else, because when you find what works for you, it's not going to work for Aunt Becky, because she's different. And that's what makes this world amazing. Everyone has their own unique metabolic blueprint. Everyone's life's a little bit different. Everyone's personal preferences are a little bit different. We can have similarities for sure, but it's different. And so the reframe takes into consideration that we have emotional responses around food, and that's okay. Let's work through that. Let's figure out what our triggers are. Let's figure out our emotions around food, around exercise, around this process. Because even though you can suck it up for a short period of time, think of a sprint, do crappy things for a short period of time, when you're truly seeking to heal your body from the inside out, you're seeking this hormonal balance, you want a metabolism that works for you, we can't just put blinders on and work for a very short period of time. We have to play the long game. I've already told you that your shortcuts are making your journey 10 times longer than it needs to be. And skipping that piece is a shortcut, and it doesn't work. Stress eating, emotional eating, celebratory eating, enjoying food, it's all a part of the process. And so we literally have to reframe our relationship to foods, our body, and how we can both find a way to, again, here we go, balance, eat to support our hormones, support our metabolism, and also support our lifestyle, our preferences, and how we want to live our life. Whatever you do to lose weight, no matter what's going on with your body, you have to do that and then some to maintain it. The hard truth that no one wants to tell you. Whatever you do to lose weight, you have to do that and then some in order to maintain it. So if something's miserable and you don't want to do it, don't do it, right? The fun piece when we talk about our hormones and we talk about our metabolism, the communication, is that our emotions are communications as well. They're guideposts, right? And so sometimes when we try things that are different, change is scary, change is hard. When we try to change things, we'll have emotions, we'll have fear, we'll have overwhelm, all these things. They're not necessarily bad things. something from our brain. We'll get into the brain aspect of your metabolism in the next couple of days. It's part of our brain, which also wants to keep us safe, telling us that we're doing something that's outside of our comfort zone. So we don't need to avoid our feelings, our emotions. We just need to understand them, because it's all a part of the communication system as well. It's all a part of finding that balance. The third piece is the rebuild phase. That's where we start to look at the nitty-gritty of your hormones and how food is influencing that, how your macros, macronutrients, the three things that our body needs in large quantity: protein, carbohydrates, and fats, how we can use that to create not only the physique that you want, but the life that you want. How many of you with PCOS have been told no carbs? How many of you with menopause have been told keto, fasting? And it's just not true. Rebuild looks at, we're going to find your unique carb tolerance. There's a lot of micronutrients, a lot of fiber that is found in carbohydrates. We need them. We need the right balance of healthy fats. Protein is an incredible macronutrient that keeps you satisfied, helps promote lean muscle mass, helps promote maintaining the physique that you want, bone density. As we age, we go through menopause and a natural hormonal process, which takes from our bones, takes calcium from our bones. We want to feel strong as we age. By the way, for those of you that are listening to this and you're like, menopause, I don't need to worry about that. Perimenopause can start in late 20s, early 30s. So if you're listening to this and you're getting up to late 20s and you're in your early 30s, if you want to age gracefully, menopause is something you start thinking about now. Again, I talked about preventative care, preventative nutrition, preventative medicine, nutrition, fitness being your first line of defense. You want to start before it becomes an issue. Not to say that if it's already an issue, that it's too late, but whenever possible, start before it's an issue. And so rebuilding literally looks like rebuilding this life, this nutrition plan that works for you. And so how can you start doing that without the help of a coach? It goes all the way back to AIM. Don't go Googling the best nutrition plan for that. I proudly boast the fact that none of my nutrition plans can be Googled because they're individualized. And you can do that too by aiming. Change one thing at a time. Add more vegetables. Play the game of addition rather than subtraction. Add more protein. Add more water. Add more fiber. Remove some processed food and add more whole foods. Eat at home one more meal than you are currently. Small increments matter. Make one modification at a time and continue to assess, investigate, and modify. Now, at this point, if we've put our metabolism into a place of balance, can I go into a dieting phase? Sure. If everything feels good, if your sleep, hunger, mood, energy, and cravings are all good, sure. But you still want to do it slowly. You still want to do it aiming, assess, investigate, and modify. And then you can add scale weights. I'm going to actually put a link below this video to a podcast episode that I did on scaling the scale that talks about using that data to aim. I think it will be really powerful and really helpful to many of you that desire weight loss. This is actually a direct lesson from my one-to-one coaching program that I shared with all my one-to-one clients. It was so valuable that I put it on the podcast and I've gotten amazing feedback on it. So use that, listen to that. It's an audio, listen to it on a walk, listen to it on a drive. Rebuild is something that we're going to continue to work on while we're still reframing, right? Because the emotions and the mental aspect will continue to come up. And then there's the resiliency piece. Resilience you're doing the whole time. I talked about restoring that metabolism so that we have a flexible and resilient metabolism. Most people believe that you want a fast metabolism, and that's incorrect. You want a flexible, resilient metabolism that says that you can go on vacation, you can enjoy the holidays and not worry about excess weight gain, not worry about staying regimented or having to pack your food to go everywhere or missing a workout. That is a resilient metabolism. A resilient mindset is one that is resilient around food. We don't feel in scarcity around food. We're not fearful of food. We're not fearful of social scenarios because of food. And so as you continue to move through this restoration process, you continue to aim. Ways that you can continue to work on the reframe and build that resilience is, again, build on that awareness. We can't change what we're not aware of, right? And so recognizing when you have emotional responses and food is involved, when you're stressed and food is involved, what's going on really? What's going on mentally, emotionally? What's going on physically? Who's around you? What's around you? Where are you? And again, you can still continue to use the AIM method. You can assess what's going on. You can investigate it rather than ignoring it, not make yourself wrong for having an emotional experience, not making yourself wrong for having feelings, not even making yourself wrong for involving food. Again, I talked about being kind and compassionate. We most of the time feel like we need to bully ourselves and force ourselves. But shame has no room at the table when it comes to making lasting, meaningful change. It just doesn't. Brené Brown, you've probably heard of her, is a shame researcher. I love her work because it continues to support the fact that we need to be vulnerable. We need to be kind. We need to be compassionate. That doesn't mean that we don't take ownership. That doesn't mean that we give ourselves a get out of jail free card constantly, right? You can take ownership and say, okay, I messed up. I need to do different. I need to do better. I need to change, and still be compassionate. What's not helpful is when you start to make yourself a bad person, a failure, someone who can't do that. That's a very fixed mindset. Because it's just not true. I talk a lot when I talk about the scale, about how we just attach emotion to all these things, and we don't have to. When you start to look at things hormonally, metabolically, you can look at it for what it is, data. Scale, it's just data. We are the ones, the humans are the ones that attach the emotion to it. So continuing to be aware, working with your nutrition, changing one small thing at a time, and using this framework, guaranteed will get you where you want to be if you are consistent, if you are patient, if you are vulnerable, you're willing to show up, you're willing to fail forward. Failure is a destination. Failing is a part of the process. It's a great part of the process. You learn so much by failing forward. I hope that using this framework is helpful for you to move forward. And I will see you right back here tomorrow. And we will move on to day 4. Hope you have a great rest of your day.